Happy New Year, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome into the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. We appreciate you joining us from our at-home video, obviously New Year's Day. Not going to be able to go to the Chat Sports studio, so we're going to get you a couple at-home video here as talking about, we got a playoff picture, kind of talking about what the Chiefs could look for as they're now locked into the number 3 seed, but who could they face in their playoff game coming up in just 2 weeks in that wild card round, along with Chris Jones actually calling, saying he wants Frank Clark to join the Chiefs for this postseason run after Frank was released from the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to tell you about all that and more right here on the Chiefs Report, but this is exactly why you subscribe. So go ahead and hit that sub button. Listen, no matter if we're in the studio, no matter if we're at home, we're always going to make sure you have the Chiefs content right at your fingertips, and you can get all of it right here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. So hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And as always, we're going to have videos pumping out to you all playoffs long. Now the Chiefs are playoff bound and AFC West champions for the 8th straight year. Let's freaking go. So hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's kind of talk about this playoff picture and what exactly this means. So obviously, if you watched yesterday's video, there was kind of still some stipulations. Didn't know the outcome of games. But now we know for sure the Kansas City Chiefs are locked into the number 3 spot in the AFC playoffs for this wild card round. They cannot go to 2 because, well, the Dolphins, although they are 1 game ahead of them, they are playing the Bills. So if the Bills beat the Dolphins would then jump the Dolphins to the 2 seed, and they'd be the division winner, along with the Bills have the deciding factor of the Chiefs, given they beat the Chiefs this season. So therefore, the tiebreaker would go to them. So right now, you are locked in a 3. If you lose, you have the tiebreaker over Jacksonville and anybody else who can get into that spot. You are the number 3 seed. But the question now becomes, who can you expect to play in the first round of the playoffs in that wild card slot? Well, there's a couple of options in a couple of different scenarios. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at this, the team that makes the most sense, the team that has the most probability to play the Kansas City Chiefs in that first round is the Miami Dolphins. As of right now, the Chiefs' chance to face the Dolphins in the wild card round is 47%. It's a pretty high margin. Now, the other percentages go to the Bills at 18%, the Indianapolis Colts at 17%, the Texans at 14%, and the Steelers have a mere 4% of playing the Chiefs in that first round of the playoffs. Now, why exactly does Miami have this? Well, that's simple. For Miami, it takes one thing for them to be playing the Chiefs in round 1 of the playoffs, and that is lose to the Bills on Sunday Night Football next Sunday. Now we have all the game times announced. By the way, if you missed it, the Chiefs will be playing the Chargers at 3:25 p.m. Central Time next Sunday. So we're going to be live for that. Make sure you join us, and we'll kind of have a good idea at that point what the Chiefs' odds are on who they are going to play and what exactly the playoff scenario looks like in terms of who they'll be in that first round. So going back to kind of what the situation is here, Miami, if they lose, they become the 6th seed, and you play the Miami Dolphins in the first round, which you beat them one time already this year. It's hard to beat a good team twice, but Miami's defense has just been really bad, and the Chiefs' defense really shut down the Dolphins' offense. And obviously, Bradley Chubb now with a torn ACL, I mean, that defense is even really severely hurt. You've lost Javon Hall. I mean, there's a lot of guys on there. Tua had a shoulder injury yesterday. It seems like he's going to be fine, though, so wouldn't worry too much about that. But it'll be very interesting. You got to watch that Sunday night game, the Bills versus the Dolphins, because that's going to be a big deciding factor on who the Chiefs play. Now, there's also these other situations where you could play either the Bills, where basically if they lose, but then Tennessee beats Jacksonville and the Ravens beat the Steelers. So that would be the way the Bills play. That's why they have the second best percentage at 18. See, if the Bills win, or Bills lose rather, then the Titans would have to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, knocking them out, and the Ravens would have to beat the Steelers, knocking them out. A little bit of an easier scenario. Now, there's a lot of things to know with the Texans and the Colts and the Steelers also have a percentage chance to play the Chiefs, but as of right now, the main contributors are going to be the Miami Dolphins along with the Buffalo Bills. Those are the two we're going to have to look at, which you beat one of them, you've lost to one of them. Either way, you're going to play whoever it is at home. You are the number 3 seed. You get that first home game to start off the playoffs, which is super nice. Before we continue this video, I got to tell you about our sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Now, Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America, and it's easy to see why. You have really nice stat types. You can go through pretty much all things. I mean, I tell you, yesterday I put one in. Didn't hit, unfortunately, but I had one with Patrick Mahomes, more on passing yards. I had more receptions for Rashee Rice, and I had less on the receptions for Jamar Chase. Now, Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game, And the cool thing is you can combo your projections across not just the NFL, but in NBA. They've got WNBA. They've got college football. So if you want to put in some prize picks in for tonight's college football playoff games, you can go do that. A lot of interesting things you can do. And plus, they actually just released their MLB season-long predictions. So if you've got something you think is pretty good, I think they have the home runs out there right now. So you want to go put in like your season total for Shohei home runs or maybe for Yordan Alvarez home runs, you can go do that now on Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS as well. You're going to get a $100 deposit match. I'm telling you, Prize Picks is really the only way I play daily fantasy sports at this point. I have my fantasy teams. They were pretty good. They got the championship, but I'm telling you, the fact that I can play Prize Picks year-round now through basketball, through baseball, through literally anything is super, super awesome. So once again, check it out at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS at the promo code, and you're going to get $100 deposit match. Okay, let's kind of talk here about Chris Jones and what exactly we can expect from why he was talking about wanting to have Frank Clark back. So Chris Jones tweeted this out yesterday after the Chiefs clinched their playoffs, saying, "Bring Frank Clark back. I need my brother for this playoffs run." Interesting, because he was released by Seattle, and Chris Jones and Frank Clark, we obviously know they are a very good relationship. They've had this for a while, and I think it's kind of cool to see that Chris Jones wants Frank Clark back, and it's nice to see that they still have that brotherly friendship. So I want you to let me down in the comment section know if you want Frank Clark to join the Chiefs here in the last little bit of this season and into the playoffs, then I want you to type FC for Frank Clark. So if you want him back, go down in the comment section and type FC. I'd certainly kind of am curious to see what the Chiefs Kingdom is kind of thinking about pretty much everything that's going on with kind of how this defense has been. It's been really good, but overall, would you like to see maybe the addition of Frank Clark, who was a playoff monster? I mean, let's just be quite frank. Frank Clark was a huge reason that the Chiefs played so well in the playoffs last season. This year, he hasn't done much. Obviously, he's kind of bounced around teams. He was with the Denver Broncos. Now he went to the Seattle Seahawks. There was a lot of time where, honestly, it was supposed to be back with the Kansas City Chiefs. There was times where he was supposed to come back and play with the Chiefs. That ended up not happening. Brett Veach did not get that done, and I kind of understand why. I mean, right now, this season, he only had 8 total tackles. That's it. 8 total tackles, 4 of those being solo. And besides that, nothing on the stat sheet. But you can't kind of knock his stats just specifically from the playoffs last year. 7 tackles. He had 6 solo, 1 assisted, but he had 2.5 sacks. And that was huge from a guy that you really didn't expect it from last year. And you even go back further, the playoffs. He had literally another 7 tackles the year before. He's just kind of been a playoff monster. His biggest year, though, you have to go back to 2020, where he played against Cleveland, Buffalo, and then Tampa Bay, that 3-game run back in 2020, where he had 3 sacks. He was really just an amazing presence in the defensive line, on the kind of defensive edge linebacker type group. The only worry I have here is, do the Chiefs actually need him? Do the Chiefs really want to bring him back? Because you have Willie Gay, you have Drew Tranquill, and your edge rushers, well, you got Karlaftis, who's been playing well. Dana and Nadi been playing great football, and you have Chris Jones. Now, does it add some defensive depth? 100%. But are you willing to risk a roster spot on a guy who hasn't really done much this year just to basically please Chris Jones, who, I mean, I'll be quite frank, he was kind of acting prissy earlier this year. It was kind of stupid the way he acted and the way he kind of really treated the Chiefs. I understand he wants his money, but at the same time, given he's coming up for a free agency year, I thought it would have been more of, I want to go play for my money, but now it was kind of an interesting scenario. So I'm kind of curious to think, I know we're getting close to the offseason, and I know it's not there yet, but I do have a question for Chiefs Kingdom. Do you want Chris Jones back? Because I'm starting to think that I don't know if I want him. Karlaftis has been amazing, had a sack last night. You have money to be spent around $30 million, but you're probably going to cut MVS. That dude is not good. There's $14 million in cap space. And from there, who are you going to sign? Because you need to keep L'Jarius Sneed. That dude has been locking down literally every single amazing receiver in the NFL, week in and week out, and he did it again to Jamar Chase just yesterday, only 3 receptions. He was the lockdown cornerback. I think you need to keep him. There's questions about if you want to keep Willie Gay in the system. And if Chris Jones is scheduled for a $30 million a year contract, that's all your cap space. You want a receiver, that's not going to happen. We're going to use your $14 million that you take from MVS away, and you can give it to somebody. But I would like T. Higgins, and T's going to cost probably around $24 million-ish a year, I think would be the asking price. And so if you don't have Chris Jones and you cut MVS, instead of sitting at $30 million in cap space, and potentially only 14 if you sign Chris to that $30 million contract, well, then guess what? You don't have really much money, but if you give away that, you're going to have $44 million in contract space. And that doesn't include maybe Patrick Mahomes restructuring his contract again. There's a lot of things you can do. You can ask Travis Kelce to restructure his contract again. That guy's getting paid $30 million a year as well. There's a lot of ways where you could make a big splash this offseason. So I'm kind of curious. Let me know if you want Chris Jones back in the comment section. If you want Chris Jones back, then type Y for yes. If you don't want Chris Jones back, that's all right. Type in for no. Let me know what you're kind of thinking. Is it worth it? Is he worth what potentially will be $30 million of your cap space when you only at max probably have around $44, $45 million? So let me know why for yes to keep Chris Jones and then in for no to not keep Chris Jones. We appreciate you watching. As always, I know it's kind of a little scuffed in here watching the home setup, but I like talking Chiefs with y'all, and anytime I can do that, well, I'm appreciate it. So if you made it all the way into the video, I really, really appreciate it. I know sometimes it's hard to get through it because I don't have much graphics. I don't have anything for y'all to see, but I just like talking Chiefs with y'all. So if y'all did, do me a favor, get in the comment section and type real one and give me a favor. Do me another favor, hit that like button. I'd certainly appreciate it. But as always, Chiefs Kingdom, I'm going to say peace out, and we'll see you in the next video.